go from there. Yeah. Um, so here we go. Look at how beautiful this is. So Seekers and Seers is DhunAnand Foundation's online contemplative community. Our mission is to enable and inspire artists from diverse backgrounds, including academics like Dr. Gurminder, who's here today with us, who are serving the planet in whichever way they are. I believe this is how Guru Nanak would have served artists. I believe that's why he gave the langar to the sadhus that he did. It's because these sadhus are busy, so busy. Dr. Gurminder is so busy researching what Bhai Veer Singh and Bhai Randir Singh and all the Western academics have said about Anhad Naad, and she's doing all this research. It's such a gift to us when we read what she has written. So it's very special for us to have her here. I can probably spend 15 minutes talking about her background, but I'll tell you this. She's a professor of music from Wellesley, and if you read her book, uh, you will hear pure love. When Guru Nanak says "Gaviye suniye man rakhiye bhav," you hear the man rakhiye bhav. She's really poured 20 years of love into this book, and you really have to cherish it, read it slow, and I'm really enjoying it. The name of the book is Sikh Kirtan and Its Journeys. And it's available for free for people who can't afford it, but I highly encourage you to go out and buy it. Anything I say about the book is less. Like I said, she's poured her love into it, both as a Sikh and as an academic, and it's really hard to kind of do that because as an academic, you have to be feelingless, and a Sikh is full of feeling. And she's done this really well. uh from just the nomenclature, saying Guru Sahib, Bhagat Jis, adding the Jis, adding all these things that we do in our normal parlance as Sikhs, but then also being uh, very fair to and putting sort of a balanced picture out there for all these concepts. Today we're going to discuss chapter 3, which is labeled Anhad Naad and the sonic embodiment of divinity. It so happens we are discussing Anhad Naad in our other classes, and we'll continue to have those sessions also on Friday. So, Gurminder ji, welcome. We are going to I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to read you some portions of your book, embarrass you a little bit, and ask you some questions for about 20-25 minutes. And then we're going to open the call to other folks so we can get the real questions out there. Um, but let's look at uh, how you've taken us through the journey of Anhad Naad in the book. And she starts with Guru Nanak, and she starts with Gagan mein thal rav chand deepak bane tar ka mandal janak moti, and then uh, she goes into kaisi aarti hoye bhav khandna teri aarti anhata shabad vajant bheri. So now here is anhata, and look at the beautiful way that she describes what Guru Nanak is doing. And I'm going to read this for you. Guru Nanak maps an externally observed cosmic symphony onto an internally felt bliss. These sights and sensations mark our corporeal experience of Anhad Naad within the Sikh body. And then she continues at another place. Anhad Naad functions as a leitmotif, which is sort of a leading motif that is a melody that is repeated. A leitmotif in Gurbani, it reminds devotees that the purpose of their lives is to hear, to listen to, and to become attuned to the celestial music of the divine word, Shabad, that is constantly resounding within the body. You see how Gaviya Suniye Man Rakhiye Bhav is reappearing in our words. Um, so, Gurminder ji, tell us more about why you were so interested in Anhad Naad. I know you've spent 2 or 3 chapters on it, and then you start with Guru Nanak's Aarti. What were How did you come to this place where you really wanted to talk about Anhad Naad? That's
Thank you. Thank you all. It's so nice to see you. I remember some of you from last time. It's good to see you again, and new faces also. So nice to meet you all. Shiv, you gave me too kind of an introduction as always. So it's kind and embarrassing also, but thank you. I really appreciate being here. I was really looking forward to this time, so thank you. Um, and I mean, in all honesty, Anhad, as I say in Anahad, Anhad, Anhata, there are many ways in Gurbani that this phrase is formulated. There is not one way that we speak about this concept in Bani. So um, my reason to spend so much time on it is because it was very selfish in the sense that I had no idea what it was. And I could never find a good translation and I could never find a good explanation.
hmm,
So I think it came really from a place of ignorance. And where I am now is, I would not say now I completely understand, but I think I'm a little bit closer to imagining at least
hmm,
what is the full complexity of sound and experience embodied in the concept of anhad, anahad, anhata, all these things. Because the way that I think the gurus and bhagats want us to think about sound, listen to sound, and embody sound, what we do in our daily lives is very superficial. It's this much. But if
hmm,
we think about how, holy figures, spiritually accomplished figures, how they experience sound, and the story of Dattatreya that I have in this story,
hmm,
these holy figures who are so spiritually accomplished that their bodies are resounding. You can hear the vibration even before you meet them. And it may have happened with you that you meet somebody, and the first thing you are struck by is actually there's something in that vibration, in that vibratory field that strikes you even before you say hello or you greet the person. There is something there. So, and I think that Anhata for me was this concept that I wanted to grasp because, as you say, it's in our daily nickname. Uh, um, and Anand Sahib also speaks a lot about this concept. It's foundational to um, our our daily way of living, actually. And
hmm,
if you don't tap into that deep resonance and that deep way of listening and embodying and holding and cherishing this sound is not music. What I
hmm,
understand is that music, what I've understood, I may be wrong. So I'm also still learning, is that kirtan and music, this is actually the initiating point to this Anhad Naad.
hmm,
It is the starting point. We get wrapped up in the beauty and the aesthetics, but actually we're asked to listen beyond that, to grasp something much deeper, much more resonant, much more full, much more nuanced and complicated. And Kirtan is just the starting point to get the ears to really turn the sound and turn your gaze inwards, if you want to think of it like that.
hmm,
So, this is a very long answer to your question, Shiv, but just to say that the impulse came from a place of not knowing and wanting to know and wanting to develop really a personal meaning and interpretation for myself that I could carry with me and say, okay, I think this is what Anahat means for me in Anand Sahib. This is what it means, Anhad Giri. What is this thunderous drum that Guru Nanak is talking about? What is this? You know, what does it sound like? What does it signify? So it was for those reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bhedi is one of the loudest drums. So yeah,
Yes.
it is a thunderous drum, like you say, and there's so much wonder in the arti, and this is a new thing. I stopped on this time when I looked at it. Anhata Shabad Vajant Bhedi. Isn't it just like out of the world wonderful that something is being played so loud and nothing is hitting anything? I think that's the part of the wonder, and then he obviously goes from wonder to wonder to wonder to wonder from in the arti. But I I was really interested in how you talked about the purpose of their lives, because I talk about purpose of life a lot, and I talk about singing as being the purpose of life. That's what I've interpreted from Guru Tegh Bahadur and Guru Nanak, what the purpose of life for a Sikh is. Um, and everything else I think is included in that, whatever that singing is. And but here you define it slightly differently and very beautifully. You say the purpose of their lives is to hear, and then you say to listen and to become attuned to the celestial music of the divine word. um, So, what were your thoughts there? I mean, the Sunniye is a big portion of Japji Sahib, and listening, and not just listening, but what do you mean by hearing, to hear and then to listen? Because obviously you made a distinction there.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going, but tell us more about that.
I think you know because I think you're telling me. Uh, it's I mean, Japji Sahib, of course, is I think the best example of this, because Japji Sahib is a tapestry of so many different kinds of. There's the Naad, the original Naad, and then there's the beautiful music and Naad of the world. Okay, you hear the animals, you hear nature, you're hearing musicians, you're hearing rag, you're hearing so many different kinds of sounds. So Japji Sahib is really the perfect example for this. Um, but the differentiation I'm making, and it's really not hard and fast, is that, you know, to hear is really, again, in that realm of maybe of rasa, what we say rasa in Hindustani classical music. You appreciate, you enjoy. This is kanras, this is the savoring of the aesthetic dimension of music. And then listening, if you want, is taking that in deeper, so that you're not really aware of, is this even music? I think this is so many paintings of Guru Nanak, actually, because there's so much in the Janam Sakhi corpus. If you look, these are not necessarily paintings that are depicting um, um, Guru Nanak in an accurate way, but what's, I would say, consistent from around the 17th century to maybe the 19th century is sometimes Guru Nanak's eyes are closed, but sometimes they're gazing.
Hmm.
And I always think about this, that, and Pai Mirdana is playing usually, right, in these
Hmm.
paintings. And my interpretation is always that this is going beyond hearing. This is now in that realm of the kirtan has happened, is happening, but the listening is so deep and so internalized that almost it doesn't matter whether there is music or not, because the resonance is inwardly, always inwardly felt. So this for me is the differentiation between hearing and listening, like really listening. And
Yeah.
Suniya is such an important concept also in Bani in general, but especially in Japji Sahib, as you've said just now. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is how she starts. She goes on to look at what Bhagat Singh Thind has said, and she says another phrase used by Bhagat Singh Thind within a Sikh epistemological framework is dhunatmik, which is especially nuanced in the way that it aligns divine melody, dhun, with one's own inexpressible primal sound, referring that to that of the human spirit, Atma. Can you tell us a little bit about who Bhagat Singh Thind is for folks who don't know him, and what do you, what did you mean here?
No, I can't tell you too much about him. I
Okay.
don't remember. I read the book. I read his book, and I was thinking about him so many years ago. I haven't thought about him in so long, Shiv. So
I think he's
he's
a.
not in my mind at all.
All I know is
I
he's sort of an academic,
Yes,
and also he was in the military
he,
because I see the picture.
yes, he was an activist. There was a an important political gosh, I don't want to say anything wrong because I at that time I was very clued up on the case that he was involved in. He came to the US very early.
Yeah, Gurminder, that's
But
why I called you here to trip you up.
it, I will tell you honestly, I don't remember
No,
because it was so long ago I read.
well, but
Tanuyado, yeah,
it's
there
really
must be.
nice how what you're trying to do here is you're trying to take the Anhad Naad, and she's showing how different people and different academics and and musicologists and musicians have experienced this, described this,
Yeah.
right? So dhunatmik, I really liked. I just like you, I like the word dhunatmik, and normally it would mean pertaining to the dhun, but in this case, I love the way you've explained it. It
Uh,
has to do with the atma of the dhun.
Atma. Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
I think the other thing, Shiv, to mention at this point, just in case I forget to mention it, is that a larger impetus for this. Okay, so one is my ignorance, but also, Bani is such a treasure trove in terms of the way that we formulate the concept of sound is so nuanced. It's really most Western theories about sound are really not as developed.
yeah,
So the reason why I wanted to write this and in English, and hopefully, it's a free book, as I've said, so that people can access it. And I really want them to know that there is a tradition, even if they don't know much about the Sikh tradition, where
yeah,
um, sound is formulated in such an expansive way and in such a nuanced way that most Western listeners cannot grasp how just not necessarily how complicated it is, but how big it is, how much we it can encompass.
right.
So this comes into the concept of Anhad and in Naad also. This when I present this work at universities, people's minds are just blown. That's Sikhs really they recite Anand Sahib and this is what it means and it's daily. It's part of they. It's really astonishing that we take this
We take it for
complex
granted. Yeah,
for
yeah,
granted. Exactly. That, of course, sound is all this. Sound is, and just because there's silence, it doesn't mean there's silence. There's actually, silence is not silent.
yeah.
There's always vibration. But this concept in Western aesthetics is borrowed actually from Buddhism, from our tradition. So very interesting. Yeah.
Very, and when as you talked about silence, I was reminded of this next slide, which where you've described
Oh,
this story from Bhai Hira Singh. I don't know if you remember that story. Um, you're muted. Um,
yes, I remember it very well. It's such a
yeah. So if you
beautiful
can tell,
story.
if you can just paraphrase that story for
Yeah.
of us, because it's a very powerful example of what Anhad Naad
It's a
is.
it's a beautiful story by Saib. Um, there's a link in the book, so you can listen to it in the original Punjabi, and then I put it into English for the readers. But by Hira Singh, as you know, there was a big conference about him recently in India, and he was a very renowned Kirtani who lived a very long life, and
Hmm.
not the dates that I have from him. I've lived a very long life among the Ragis, but very knowledgeable. And he used to visit the Sangat all over the northern part of India. And once he went to Shimla, he took his little harmonium, very small one.
Shruti
What's
box or
now
something like
called a
that.
Shruti, it's now called, what they called a peti or something like this.
Yeah.
It's portable. And he used to do kirtan for the sangat, but then the story is that he used to then very early morning before Asakivar, he used to go into the mountains and do kirtan. And one sevadar followed him one day. That where is he going in the middle of the night?
Hmm.
And he saw him sitting in the mountains just doing kirtan. And then he came back. He woke up the rest of the Ragi Jatha and said, "Chalo, let's get ready for Asakivar." And
And
after,
sometimes, and you also mentioned that sometimes he would be doing kirtan, and sometimes he would just be quiet.
yes, he would be doing kirtan. And there were long moments when he was just quiet. And so after Asakivar, Sevadar kind of asked him, the lights will, I think they're,
You have to dance for us.
hold on.
This is part of the program. Now is the part where Gurminder ji is gonna dance.
Oh my goodness, what happened? Oh,
God,
I'm sorry,
God
just
said
one
the
second.
word, and then there was light. We are obviously we are bashing the Bible, I think,
Acha, one
and
second, let me find
God has
somebody.
taken light away.
Can you switch the light on? Can you switch the light on if it comes in screen? Yeah, that's it. Oh, thank you. I'm giving a talk and all of a sudden the lights went out. Yeah, just wave around. Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank you so much. Sorry for disturbed. Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Yes. So Sevadar asks, no, what was happening? And it said the kirtan I do during the day is for the Sangat. But the kirtan I do, so this is even like maybe pre-Amrit Vela, I'm not sure how to describe this time, is for Guru Nanak. And actually, I've heard this a lot that I think these are the old ragis, that there is this, so the Sangat Kirtan they do, and they feel that there's so much of adulation sometimes that they have to go and do this kind of cleansing of just, I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean? I understood it in that context also, that all the praise, it's also kind of a little bit, it gets in the way a little bit, so they have to do that. And then the Sevada also asked, so how about when you were quiet? And those were the internal conversations that he was
Yeah.
having with Guru Nanak.
It,
And he said, these sounds and these conversations are like nothing in the world. So that is also this interiority, this beautiful, yeah, indescribable, Anhad.
Yeah, as a kirtanya, it's great to know that that's what other kirtanyas have also done, because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah,
Um, I found this, and then you also had a cheeky footnote saying, "Hey, this book is not for this," to describe the difference between uh, Vedic and Sikh notions of Anhad Naad. Um, but I'm really interested in that.
yeah.
What is the difference between the Sikh notion and the Vedic notion of Anhad Naad?
Yeah, happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think, of course, Vedic notions, just from what we know in the older texts, it's very binary. They really do talk about Ahat and Anhata. And I think that Kirtan, if we think of Kirtan as kind of a catalyst, Kirtan is what is responsible for taking us from Ahat Naad, from the space of music, rasa, beauty, to this place of Anahata, where actually we're not even hearing Kirtan anymore. We hear vibration. we feel vibration. So that is what I mean by, I think the Sikh formulation in Bani goes beyond the dualism that we have from the older text in the Vedic tradition. Yeah.
And of course, you describe this in the book in a picture, and I love the caption on the pictures. Kirtan sublates Anhad Naad into Anhad Naad. What a beautiful
Yeah.
way of saying it. Um, you talk about Gobind Singh Mansukhani talking about the Kanras, the Manras, and then the emergence of the Dhuni. And I think you've talked about that already. So let's talk about Bhai Veer Singh. Um, and this is the chart that you have, and you've added the English to this. This was primarily done by Bhai Singh, but she's added English to it. ਐਂਡ ਮੇਬੀ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਸਵਰਜੀਤ ਜੀ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਧਾ ਕੋਈ ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਕ
Mm.
ਕੋਈ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਸੀ ਪੂਰਾ ਐਸੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਪੁੱਛ ਲਓ ਅਨਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਐਸੇ ਬਾਰੇ.
See, ਸਮਝਾ ਵੀ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਰਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ, because ਜਿਹੜਾ diagram ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਇਸੇ ਦਾ, this was very difficult to translate. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਉਹ ਵੀ
that would be
ਵਧੀਆ
great.
ਰਹੇਗਾ।
That'll
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
be
ਉਹ ਵੀ
great.
ਵਧੀਆ ਰਹੇਗਾ ਜੀ।
Yeah. ਇਹ ਸਮਝਾ ਵੀ ਦਿਓ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਕੀ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਚ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਗੁਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਜੀ। ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਚੈਲੰਜਿੰਗ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਆਨੰਦ ਆਇਆ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ,
ਜੀ।
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੈ ਅਸਾਧਾਰਨ ਪਾਠਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਸਧਾਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਧਾਰਨ ਆ। ਸੋ ਪਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਓਪਰਚੁਨਿਟੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਉਹ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਸੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ। ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਸਮਝ ਆਇਆ ਉਸ ਐਸੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਸਾਧਨ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਮਨ ਦੀ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਰਾਗ ਇਸ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਹਾਇਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਰਾਗ ਨੂੰ ਰਾਗ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨਤਾ ਦਾ ਦਰਜਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਸ਼ਬਦ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਮਾਧਿਅਮ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਰਾਗ ਨੂੰ ਉਚਾਰਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਗਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਵੇ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਵੱਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਧਣ ਦੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਰਾਗ ਸੁਰਤ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਵੱਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤੇ ਜੋ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਦਾ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਸੇ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਦੀ ਡੂੰਘਾਈ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਨਾਦ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰਸ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਝਲਕ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਸੋ ਸਮਗਰ ਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਲੱਗੀ, ਉਹ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਗੱਲ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਜੋ ਡਾਕਟਰੇਟ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ 'ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਿਆ। ਤੇ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਸੀ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਦੀ, ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪ ਇਹ ਸਾਧਨ, ਇਹ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਰਬਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਸੇਵਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਕੌਣ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ। ਇਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਸੀ, ਇਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਲਾਨ ਸੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਵਿਧੀ ਤੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਰਬਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਰਾਗੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਏ, ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਓਨਾ ਉੱਚਾ ਆਤਮਿਕ ਜੀਵਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਰਾਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਓਗੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤੇ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਨਾਦ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੌਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਹੈ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਿਆ ਹਾਲੇ ਤੱਕ, ਜਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਲੌਬੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੱਕ, ਹਾਲੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਿਆ ਇਹ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ। ਜਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਗੁਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਨਾਦ ਗੁਰਮਤ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਡੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਹਿਰੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਨਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਾਦ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਉਹ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਨਾਦ ਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਚਾਨਣ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਧਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਪੂਰੇ ਲੇਖ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆਈ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨਾ ਦੋ ਤਾਨਪੁਰੇ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਖ ਲਈਏ, ਦੋ ਤੰਬੂਰੇ ਰੱਖ ਲਈਏ, ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਸਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਛੇੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੂੰਜ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਤਾਨਪੁਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਤਾਰ ਦੀ ਸੁਣਾਈ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਇਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਆਪ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ, ਉਸ ਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ, ਉਸ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ ਗਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਨੁਭੂਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਭਾਈ ਹੀਰਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੀ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੀਰਤਨੀਆ ਗਾਉਂਦਾ ਗਾਉਂਦਾ ਚੁੱਪ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਤੇ ਲੋਕ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ।
ਰਾਈਟ।
ਇਹ ਸੱਚੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ, ਇਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਖਰਾਬ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਓਗੇ। ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਹੀਰਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕਾਪੀ ਕਰੀਏ ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਕੰਮ ਬੜਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਤਾਨਪੁਰੇ ਦੀ ਉਹ ਛੇੜਨ ਵਰਗੀ ਕੁਛ ਗੂੰਜ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਛੇੜੀ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਰਾਮ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਆਨਿਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਸਧਾਰਨ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਆਨ ਕਰਨਾ, ਇਨਸਾਫ ਕਰਨਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਹਾਲੇ ਹੋਰ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਗੁਰਮਿੰਦਰ ਜੀ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਥੋੜਾ ਡਰ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦਾ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਪਰ ਮੇਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਂਗਾ ਤੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੱਧਰ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਾਂ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Gurminder ji. I think what has come out from both of you guys, and I've really not, I've not been as um, surprised by it, because I sort of live this, okay, the Anhad Naad is within you, so what, that's what it is. But how the Greeks have conceptualized this, like you said in your book, it's a not just a different concept, it's sort of a really new concept for most people. And it's hard for you to it's hard for them to, like, hey, that this is also possible, that it's not the sound of Anhad Naad, which the yogis have said is this dhun. If you are quiet enough, you will hear the universe, right? Well, if you're quiet enough from inside, you will hear the Anhad dhuni from inside. And I'm going to share one last shabad, then go to you, and then go to our folks for questions. So Gurminder ji also talks about Bhai Randir Singh and how he has defined Anhad Naad. I'm not going to go over that. But in the end, she also talks about the whole yoga concept from Hath Yoga to Raj Yoga. And how Guru Nanak and the Bhagats and the Gurus preferred this whole Raj Yoga. And it's best defined in this Shabad, which Gurminder ji quotes in her book. I found it very interesting. I found a relationship between the Dhanasari, the Ramkali, and this, which is Suhi. In these three Shabads, Anahat Naad is defined slightly differently. And And in all three of them, a fearlessness is described. When you have this fearlessness, Bhav Sagar Tariye is in Ramkali. In Suhi, To Nirbhav Pad Paiye in the end. And then in Aarti in Dhanasri, he says, Anhata Shabad Vajant Bheri Bhav Khandana Teri Aarti. Oh, one who is going to remove all the fears. So, I've always thought the purpose of life is to sing, and the opposite of singing is complaining. And by saying, बहुत कुछ सब कुछ चंगा हो रहा है, चढ़दी कला है रहना, that's part of the singing. But here Guru Nanak is describing another way of looking at the opposite of singing. Singing is singing, गाना बहुत अच्छी गल है. जे तुसी गाओगे नहीं ते what is the opposite of singing is being in fear. If you're in fear, you're not singing. And once you're connected with this Anhad Naad, you become fearless. So bhav khandna teri aarti anhata shabad vajant bheri. Um, I wanted to stop here and get your comments, and then we'll go to folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shiv. That was so nice. I hadn't thought of it like that, but the connection you make, you sit the Nasri, Ramkali, and Suhi. Slightly different. Yeah. Yeah. I will have to think about that a little bit more. It's very interesting what you picked up. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to chat
Yeah.
with others and
Yeah. So what are others thinking? What are you guys thinking? What are you thinking about Anhad Naad? What have you thought about what we've talked about? Um, and until they queue up any questions, let me ask you this: how has the journey been? It took you several years and to finish this, and now that you've done it, it's accomplished. What's sort of next? What are you excited about going forward?
I'm excited about everything going forward. I just so many people are asking me questions, speaking with you guys and everybody. It's been really wonderful. The reception has been really wonderful. It's really just so happy. I'm actually very excited to teach this material because, as I said last time, teaching is the way to learn. And
Yeah.
so I want to teach students who have no idea what Kirtan is, and I want to show them the complexity and the beauty of this tradition. And so I want to do more of that outreach and interfaith work. I think
So
this was another big
will
goal.
these
Mm.
be classes in Wellesley, or will they be outside of Wellesley? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open. If it's Wellesley, then it's a smaller reach that I have. So yeah, I'm quite open to doing things, and we're working on workshops and things like this. And so I'm very slow. I'm very bad at marketing, branding, social media. This is not my strength. So
Yeah,
I have to wait for someone
you
to
don't
help
need to
me.
work about you don't need to worry about branding. The Guru Nanak
Yeah,
takes care of that.
yeah.
So it's fine. I'm
So,
going to go to a couple of people and ask them because maybe people are being shy. We'll go to Sarabjit first, and then we'll go to Prerna ji, then Tejwan ji. Go ahead, Sarabjit.
Uh, First of all, such a pleasure to have you again. Thank you so much for coming and enlightening us. And Vijay, you've done some beautiful slides. Fantastic. I think you did a great job with the slides as well. When I came across this word unhat, then it just created an art of a possibility. There's a possibility that I
mm,
could hear. It symbolizes to me. Oh wow. And if I would have not come across this word, then how would I have known it? Because this is like,
mm,
what you have done is when you focused on this word, you've kind of given people something to think that there is something which is beyond what you hear, so that's something, and I'm glad that you've given such a beautiful focus to it, as Vijay is talking about. I'm just thinking that why it is only left to the senses of hearing. What about seeing? Am I missing seeing something which is also existing? That's something which comes to my mind, that why just to this, because we also see. And so is there something which I'm not watching, and is there? And and so that what just comes to my mind, that why just hearing, why not
Mm,
feeling, why not touching, why not
mm,
seeing? That's what I just wanted
mm,
to open up to,
mm,
as a thought. Yeah.
mm. Thank you so much, Sarpreet Virji. I wish I could remember. I think there is a Shabad by Bhagat Namdev Ji. I think that I have in my book, and I don't remember where. I remember translating it or paraphrasing. But there, the description of Anhad Naad is exactly what you're describing. It's sensorially, what we say, multimodal, cross-modal. You're tasting, actually, there's touch involved because breeze, fragrance, you're smelling, you're feeling the breeze on your skin, you're seeing. All the senses are involved in this experience of Anhad Naad. So you're exactly right. And this just is one show that is coming to my mind. And I can find it for you in my book and pinpoint it to you. But there are a few very beautiful descriptions of the experience in this way. So it's not just yeah. I think
Okay.
maybe. Oh, I'm so sorry. 1 minute. Okay. Um, I think maybe I focus too much I prioritize the listening a bit much because I'm very fascinated by all the musical instruments that we hear, Anhad instruments, because I had no idea what a tura was, for instance. Kinguri, Bheri, but tura, I could not figure this out. So I mean, Ben and all these other instruments I got to learn. So I was very fascinated with the musical dimension. So that was maybe my the imbalance that I
Yeah.
created.
No. I just was thinking about it. For example, sometimes, just few seconds on this more. Like sometimes when you are doing a poetry and you open up that what do you understand from the poetry, you find
Mm.
that people look at it from a different eyes.
Yes,
Somebody
yes.
finds Guru where I find my beloved, and for
Uh,
somebody that beloved is that Almighty. So it's the eyes, the thinking of everybody for that love. For me, the love is a worldly love, which is, and for somebody, the moment the word love is, he immediately connects to his murshid, or his gur,
mm,
his Paramatma. So it is like we have different eyes to look at the world, and we all are, and that's what you experience while speak to somebody, and that's what so there is something which is more beautiful. But I'm glad that you said that it's beyond just the sound. It is it gives me you know okay, it's there.
yeah.
Thank you
Oh,
so
very
much.
much, very much there. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bharatji, please go ahead.
I guess we had Tejwant ji and Prerna ji, so probably after that or whatever way.
No,
No, go ahead.
you raised your hand, so you'll go first, and then Prerna ji and Tejwan ji.
So first of all, thank you, Gurminder ji, for such a nice and enlightening description of one of the things that we often keep thinking of. We often keep.
Mm.
I tried reading some of the stuff on this, but definitely through this book I'll read more. Uh, just a few things I wanted to add. We talked a lot about Ras, and that is what all the enlightened people have experienced.
Mm.
And just to correlate it with what is said in Tretya Upanishad also. So most of the Upanishads there are some certain Mahavakyas, and one of the Mahavakya in Taittiriya Upanishad is Raso Vahsa. Like Aham Brahmasmi, so there is Raso Vahsa. मतलब वो रस रूप है. So it is so in that state you are into that personification, into that universal consciousness, and then you feel Raso Vahsa.
Yes.
So जो हम रस की बात कर रहे थे, तो वो वाकई रस रूप है, which of course just saying it with words, I have no experience of it, so but it's just a theoretical understanding that was there. So one thing I wanted to point that. The other thing I wanted to ask that I have read about it at a few places, and I have in fact listened to certain discourses also. So people have described it, the realized ones, the saints have described that once it starts happening, once you are tuned to that Anhad Naad, so it is always there with you. It's not that it probably it's there for some time or something, but that's what I have read. I have no experience, so I just wanted to mention it and even have your comments on it. कि एक बार ये शुरू हो जाए तो फिर रुकदा नहीं हैगा. In whatever state you are, wherever you are, तुसी just अपना अखां बंद कीतियां, you are into it and you hear all that nice sound within you and all. मतलब they talk of several stages in fact also. पहले झिंगुर की आवाज, फिर वो कुछ और आवाज, फिर तबलों की आवाज, फिर मृदंग की आवाज, फिर finally it goes to sitar and flute also. So that it goes right up to the way to the flute, and they correlate it with different chakras in the body, chakra system. So just wanted to have some inputs from you on that.
Yes.
And in fact, Kabir also talked a lot about it. Bhagat Kabir has and he has written a lot of couplets also on it. So one of the famous is Tan Bhitar Sarita Bhaye Anhad Baje Baj, Keh Kabir Suno Bhai Sadho, Sahaj Samavad Viraj. So once we are in that Sahaj Samadhi state, so then that Anhad Naad is always there with you. And there is another one from him. सुनता नहीं धुन की खबर अनहद का बाजा बाजता, रस मन मंदिर बाजता, बाहर सुने तो क्या हुआ, रस मन मंदिर बाजता, बाहर सुने तो क्या हुआ, सुनता नहीं धुन की खबर अनहद का बाजा बाजता. So these were two famous things that I've come across from Kabir. So those were the few queries and few thoughts that I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Bharatji. Thank you so much. You know, for Kabirji, what was the highest instrument, the highest sound? Because it's so interesting how different it is from person to person. But for Kabirji, it was actually thundering. And I have one translation when he's talking about thundering as the highest ever. And because Shiv mentioned by Randir Singh, he has, again, he talks about the experience of this, what you're saying. Once you tap into it, it's there. And he says this buzzing, gungana, this kind of flute is
different types of frequencies and sounds.
But he says that the flute, actually, you hear at the very early level. What you hear at the higher levels is this, what I think what Shiv is tied very nicely to this kind of fear-inducing thundering. But because you are not in this state of immersion, you do not feel that fear. So it's very very beautiful. But yeah, you're absolutely right that there's actually almost different instruments, different hierarchies. Maybe there's different experiences that I cannot speak to myself, but that people have that, no, I hear, because Byron Deer sings, and specifically, this is what you hear. He was very precise. And Shank, some people will say the conch comes at this moment. And so it's very, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. It was really wonderful.
And it doesn't stop, correct? So that part is
that's I've also read this and heard this from people, that once it is there. And this story about Dattatreya and Guru Nanak also speaks to this, because Dattatreya is actually keeping Maunvrat, so he is not, and Guru Nanak is sent to say to him, you have to come back into the world. You have to get out of this gufa, get out of this cage, come back into, and you will always, even if you are speaking with somebody or engaging, you will always be in that state of, you will always hear the sound. of Ram. He was saying Ram, Ram. That is his Anhad Naad. That is what he was saying.
In fact, I read it somewhere
And
also. Like there are two perspectives. One is your prayas, and one is the prasad. So this always comes as a prasad. It is not a direct outcome of your prayas only. So it is a
yes,
it is a prasad that comes to you through that cosmic nature or cosmic divine, whatever we call it.
Very interesting.
Once it is there, then once you are getting into that mode of hearing those things, so probably your consciousness level is getting to those higher levels, and then only relating it to energy. So your consciousness level is elevating to certain levels, and after that only you will be able to hear that. So somewhere I read this correlation with the energy levels of the body, also the chakras and all those things.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. Yes, there's a wonderful book. I know it's in my book somewhere. They have done a very nice translation of Sukhmani Sahib, and they've talked a lot about specifically what you're talking about here, the mapping of the chakras and the nadis and everything in relation to Anhad Naad as well. Yeah, so that is also that dimension. Yeah.
Thank you.
By the way,
so much.
the Suniye Paudi of Sukhmani Sahib, which is the first Ashtapadi, it ends with Anhad Naad. And then, that's the Simran Paudi. Simro, Simar, Simar, Sukha. That whole Paudi, the seventh of the eighth Ashtapadi ends with Anhad Naad. So I think you talked about it as well. Let's go to who wants to ask the next question? Was it Swarji ji or Tejwan ji or Sarabji ji? Swarji ji, go ahead.
ਹਾਂ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇੱਥੇ ਐਡ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੀ। ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੇਖ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਫਿਲਮੀ ਧੁਨਾਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ ਵੀ ਬਣਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਕਾਲਰਸ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਸਿੱਖ ਜਗਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ, ਕਿ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਇਹਦੀ ਮਹਾਨਤਾ ਸੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਤਰਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਕੀਰਤਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ। ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਦ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕਿ ਨਾਦ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਐਕਚੁਅਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਕਿ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੈਦਿਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਮਗਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਸਤੁਤੀ ਗਾਇਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਉਹ 22 ਸ਼ਰੂਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਉਹ ਗਾਇਆ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ। ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਸੰਦਰਭ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਪਰਸ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਰਗੜ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਨਾਦ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਪਲੇਟ ਦਾ ਡਿੱਗਣਾ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਨਾਦ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਨਾਲ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਤਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਾਦ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਉਹ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਉਪਯੋਗੀ ਨਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਉਪਯੋਗੀ ਕੈਟਾਗਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਸੋ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੇ 22 ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਨਾਦ, ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਫ੍ਰੀਕੁਐਂਸੀਜ਼ ਮੰਨੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਯੋਗ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰੂਤੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਉਪਰੰਤ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਵਧੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਦਾ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਵਧਿਆ, ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਘਟਦਾ ਗਿਆ। ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ 22 ਉਹ ਸ਼ਰੂਤੀਆਂ, ਉਹ 22 ਸਵਰ ਨੇੜੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਜਾਪਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ 22 ਨੂੰ ਘਟਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦੂਰੀ 12 ਕਰਨੀ ਪਈ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ 12 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵੀ ਫਿਰ 7 ਦਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਪਤਕ ਦਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ 7 ਸਵਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਾਗ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਉਚਾਰਨੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਦੇ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਝੀ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਘਟਦੀ ਹੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਜਿੰਨੀ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੂਰਵਜਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਵੱਡ ਵਡੇਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਦੁਖਾਂਤ ਨਾਲ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਣਨ ਦਾ ਸਤਰ ਵਧਾ ਲਏ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਨੇ ਰਾਗੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈ ਜਾਏ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਰਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕੁਛ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਰਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਗਾਇਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਦਾ, ਮਨ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਗਾੜ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਦਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੀ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਾ ਲਈਏ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਐਕਸਰਸਾਈਜ਼ ਬੜੀ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਰਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗਾਇਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੈ, ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਨੇੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਰੱਬ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਲੈ ਆਏਗਾ ਤੇ ਤਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏਗਾ। ਸੋ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਨਾਦ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਤੇ ਨਾਦ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦੀ ਗਹਿਰਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਬਹੁਤ ਵਿਰਲੇ ਰਾਗੀ ਨੇ, ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਤਾਰੀਫ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਵਰਗੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਬੜੇ ਬੜੇ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਦਵਾਨ ਕੀਰਤਨੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਰਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਸੁਭਾਗ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਹੋਇਆ, ਪਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਧਿਆਨ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਉਹ ਚੱਕੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਣਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਰਾਗ ਸਹੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡੀ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ ਸਹੀ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪੁਰਾਤਨ ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਰਬਾਬੀ ਘਰਾਣੇ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਰਬਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਘਰਾਣੇ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਗਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਸੱਚਮੁੱਚ ਇਹ ਜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਤਰ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਚਾ ਚੱਕਣਾ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਕਲਾਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਰਹਿਣਾ, ਰਵਿੰਦਰਾ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਨਾਟਕੀ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚਿਰ ਲੜਕੀ ਦਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਕੰਮਾਂ ਕਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਗਾਇਨ ਦਾ ਗੁਣ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ। ਕਰਨਾਟਕੀ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬੇਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਗਾਣਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਗੁਰਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਾਸ਼ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਬੇਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਜੀ, ਸ਼ਬਦ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੇ ਕੁਝ ਬਣੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੰਕਲਪ ਹੈ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਨਾਦ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਧ ਪਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ।
Thank you. Tejwan ji?
Okay,
Hanji,
thank you. Gurminder ji, thank you. Always enlightening. We enjoyed your last session too. So, I'm going to twist a little bit from, to a scientific perspective. Guru Nanak Dev ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਕੀਤਾ ਪਸਾਓ eko ਕਵਾਓ, he laid out the expanse with one word or one sound, or a big bang. And then Louis, one of our beloved seekers who's not here today, but she had sent us a video of like a year or 2 years back about how the subatomic particles, even from the electrons and even the particles which in electrons are sound waves. So the sound waves collect together. So it fascinates me that it is all sound. Even the material matter is sound, which is accumulating together and and becoming an electron mass and the earth and everything. So any thoughts on that? Thank you.
Gee, thank you so much, Ji. I do have thoughts on that. There is a link in my book somewhere. I don't remember where. NASA actually recorded the sound, what they said, the sound of the universe. So they have the frequency exactly. It's a very low grumbling sound. And so they're actually able to, if we want to be scientific and precise about it, there is a frequency that we can attach, and there is actually a quality of sound that you can listen to. And that is external. So this is going back to what Shiv was saying, that this is maybe what is out there in the world. But Bhagat Jis and Gurujis are also saying that actually we are also hearing something very similar within us, also not just out there. But if we want to have empirical, you're asking for some kind of empirical data observations. NASA has actually done this recording, and you can find it on their website. It is also there. It's very, very interesting, actually. I found it when I was giving a talk at Oxford on Anhad Naad. And I knew I was going to get some physicists who would ask me some similar kind of questions. So then I was looking at the NASA research into the sound of the universe. Yeah. And it's actually very fascinating, the work that they have done, and how it correlates to the idea of what is this Brahmanad, this very, these old ideas of the original primordial sound, or what we say in the English translation, which is there across many spiritual and religious traditions also.
Actually, the way Guru Nanak would explain it, it's not really. He would say, "I'm not very different from what the Vedas are saying."
Yeah,
I'm just saying that I am the universe. So yeah, the Naad is within me, but I'm just saying that the what you're hearing outside is exactly the same as what I'm hearing inside.